Hello, I'm Sapna Pieroux, brand consultant, designer, author, speaker, and today I'm an interviewer too. I'm delighted to introduce you Lucy McCarraher. Lucy is my own publisher, and she started her first publishing company while she was still at university, and has worked in publishing and the media ever since. She's the founder of Rethink Press, and the premier publisher of hybrid business books. Lucy is a speaker, trainer, and author of 13 books herself, and the most recent, which is Book Builder. You'll be telling us a little bit more about that later. And she also wrote a book of one's own, which was a manifesto for women to share their experience and make a difference. And it was the thing that inspired me to get my book out there. So thank you so much, Lucy.
Great.
Lucy's also the founder of the Business Book Awards, which my book, Let's Get Visible, got an award for Startup Inspiration at. And she's a global published mentor of Dent Global. She's mentored hundreds of entrepreneurs and business owners to plan, write, and publish their books, as I say, including my own. So thank you very much for joining us today, Lucy.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. Thank you for asking me, Sapna.
Oh, it's an honour. So I've got loads of questions to go through. So I'm going to kick off. First, tell us a bit about yourself. You've had a really interesting life. What led you to where you are now?
Oh, it's such a long story. Well, as I say, I went to Australia when I was 21, having got married very young and with my husband who was taking up a job there. And we started a national theatre magazine. A monthly national theatre magazine, kind of out of nowhere, not really to do with his job. And because Australia is a huge place with a small population, and obviously theatre is a pretty niche subject. It was really a crazy thing to do, commercially speaking. But it was the days when you could get grants for all sorts of arts projects. So we ran it and made it work for 8 years. And actually, in retrospect, although it was crushingly hard work, as anybody who's worked on a monthly magazine, as you have, I think, Sapna, knows, it just is absolutely endless and inexorable. It was fantastically good experience for any kind of publishing and editing. So, we kind of just did it all without really having had a huge amount of background in it. And it was fun because it took us into the world of theatre. And I kind of instantly became an expert, even though I was English and had no experience of Australian theatre. But we started running this magazine, and I suppose that also taught me, in a way that I didn't recognize at the time, that that's the power of the printed word. If you put your name in print to something, people assume you're an expert. And I mean, with books, quite rightly so. In this case, not so much at the beginning, although I did absolutely become an expert. But then I came back to England and I worked in film and video and TV and wrote scripts. And actually, I had my own TV program in Australia, which was fun. And yes, I've always wanted to get back to that, but I'm not sure there's much chance of that now. And then I fell into something completely different, which was work-life balance. And I became that was when I actually wrote my own first book, because work-life balance, sort of 2 decades ago, was quite a new concept. And I was sort of a backroom researcher. And then a publisher approached me and asked me to write a book about it. In fact, 2 books, one for the self-help market and one for businesses, kind of corporate manual. And that really kind of made a huge difference. So my name was on 2 books. I was the author. And so I became a much better known expert. Instead of being the kind of backroom research person, I became the out there consultant. And that made a huge difference to my client base, what I could charge, all that sort of thing. So that was the first time that I kind of experienced a book being an incredible asset to a business person. And then just to complete the picture, I then spent a few years writing novels, which I loved and I would do again at the drop of a hat, but doesn't actually make you a lot of money if you're J.K. Rowling. And then I wrote a self-help book, which was published by someone called Joe Gregory, who turned out to live quite close to me. And I met at a networking event. And so it's all quite kind of accidental, like most of my career has been. So I started working with Joe's publishing company as his commissioning editor. And then it became clear to me that there was a better business model for working with the kind of authors he was working with. So experts, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants. And together we started up Rethink Press. And that was 10 years ago. It started with two of us just doing everything again, me doing all the sort of editing and manuscript work and Joe doing all the design and publishing end. Mm-hmm. And now we have a team of 45 plus people internationally. We published nearly 70 books last year. And we do a lot of coaching and writing with authors as well. So yes, it's been a great 10 years.
Wow, I had no idea that we were actually as big as 45 people. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, they're not all full time, but you know, they're they're all kind of regular members of our team. So you know, editors, project editors, proofreaders, cover designers, typesetters. Yep, there's quite a lot of us now.
That's amazing. So what do you love? I mean, clearly you are a born writer, author, and kind of educator as well. But what do you love about running your own business?
Oh, I just love the flexibility, really. And to be honest, I have almost always been my own boss or worked flexibly. I don't think I've ever really had a proper, well, very briefly, I was once somebody's PA, but apart from that, I haven't had a proper job ever. So I can't conceive of having to be in an office or somewhere at a set time doing particular things. I love the flexibility of working around my family, my kind of other life. I have dogs to walk and things like that. And it's just, I just find for me, that's the most creative way to be, rather than saying, right, I have to sit and do this work between 9 and 5 or whatever it is. I often need to do a burst of work and then stop and do something really mundane, like putting the washing on or something. And that gives me processing time. And I find that then I can come back and, you know, it just is, I don't know whether it's because I've developed my kind of working style like that or whether it just naturally suits me, but I find it very I can't imagine working differently to that now.
Yeah, I mean, again, I didn't realize that you'd always kind of had that business model. I mean, I worked in corporates for most of my career, but now that I've gone to the other side, I don't think I'd ever go back. That's the thing. That flexibility and being able to do that around your kids as well is a real gift.
Exactly.
So the theme for International Women's Day this year is Choose to Challenge. Now, I know that you've chosen to challenge quite a few kind of norms, and one of which is, gender equality. What are the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career?
Oh, I think when I was younger, I think just being seen as somebody who, a serious person, really. I mean, I have actually had someone say to me, "Oh, you're not just a pretty face then." I mean, that was when I was younger, and I did have quite a pretty face then. But I mean, it's that sort of assumption that because you're young and female, particularly, that you don't have as much to offer as male stereotype. I mean, obviously that's changed quite a lot since I was young, but not enough, I think. And now it's sort of it's more perhaps around leadership and sort of an behavior, I think. I mean, I probably call it unconscious bias rather than anything more positive. But I still find that if I'm in a meeting, even if it's a Zoom meeting and I'm the only woman there, I still find it's a struggle sometimes to be heard. And I'm not backwards at coming forwards anymore. I used to be very shy, but I'm kind of old enough to hold my own, I feel. But sometimes I feel that I just can't break in there, that it's the men talk to each other and forget that I exist kind of thing is the feeling I have. They probably don't see it like that at all, but I think there are still kind of ways of behaving that need challenging. you know, the work I do promoting women and writing books comes from the Business Book Awards, which I founded in 2017. And our first year, although I'd put together a judging panel that was equally male and female, I thought was, I mean, I know were people who were certainly not kind of sexist in any way. And we got 150 entries that first year, which was great, but 50 were from women and 100 were from men, so twice as many entries from men as women. But when we got to the final award categories, every single winner was a white man, and there was no going back. I couldn't kind of go back and say, oh, choose somebody else for this one or something. That wasn't, you know, that wasn't an option.
You didn't realise you got the photos back, did you?
No, I mean, and it suddenly was like, oh no, how could this have happened? I mean, and I don't want to say anything against the you know, the men who won the awards, because their books were excellent, and they, you know, they're very kind of expert guys, and you know, it was all good. But that, you know, it could not be that out of that many entries there were no women who had written equally good books. So I thought the only thing to do here is to, you know, it's far from something I wanted to brush under the carpet. So I thought the only thing to do is do exactly the opposite and make a bit of a sort of noise about it, and go on a mission to actually get more women to write their books, so that we got more entries from women, but also make sure that people knew that there was such a thing as unconscious bias. I think, you know, have to say that must have been in play somewhere. So as you said earlier, I wrote a book called A Book of One's Own, which talks about well, it talks about why women don't write and don't put themselves forward and don't build such big businesses as men. How I don't think we lack confidence in our own abilities, but I think we lack the confidence to kind of go out and shout about them in a way that men find easier to go out there and say, yeah, I'm fantastic, I'm great, you know, hire me, or, you know, whatever it is. And we kind of want to wait for someone to say, oh, you're so good, did you know that? And it's sort of, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. So it's sort of about learning to put ourselves out. Also, we're more afraid, I think, of criticism. We feel it more, we get it more. I mean, it's perfectly reasonable. We are more criticized than men in many ways. We have more caring responsibilities still. Not everybody, but, you know, in general, we spend more time and have more. It takes up more of our headspace, at least. And so we have less cash, and then we have less credibility. I mean, it just drives me mad that you can, you know, there's all that research out there saying that a woman and a man can give the same pitch or write the same manuscript, can be submitted under a man's name and a woman's name, and the man will get the money and the man will get the book contract. And, you know, not in every case, obviously, but, you know, it's not that long ago that J.K. Rowling was told that she shouldn't use her own name on a book about boys, because they might not like it if a woman was writing their book
rather than her full name.
Yeah, exactly. That's why she's known as JK. So yes, that infuriated me and made me think, well, what can I do to help more women get that confidence and write their books? Because I really feel that a book is a kind of mark of credibility that is pretty gender neutral, and that, you know, whoever you are, if you are a published author of a good book, you gain immeasurably in credibility. So, you know, if a woman writes a book, it's not just her that becomes more credible, but actually all women become more credible, sort of step by step, book by book. So I started a Facebook group, basically, for women authors and women aspiring authors, and I mentored some women through the writing of the book. And there's something, yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely to work with you, Sapna. There's something about having a woman-only space that I think women feel more confident, and they're incredibly supportive of each other.
Space, yeah, I found it. Yeah.
And that was so yes. So I suppose that's my little area of challenge.
And you're doing great. And we're also talking right now about sort of, we were talking about Black Lives Matters as well, weren't we? So there's more challenging going on in that space. But we're focusing on gender equality for this particular interview. What's your typical day or week like? Now we can sort of talk about a lockdown day, or we can talk about generally. I mean, what's your week made up of, generally speaking?
Well, my week is made up of reading a lot of emails. I get a lot of scripts to look at, manuscripts to look at. So that's quite a big chunk of my time. And that's both manuscripts of authors who are submitting for publication, authors who are saying, what do you think so far? And people I'm working with as well, people who are authors who I'm mentoring, and then there's a lot of just business in running a publishing company. I mean, I run it with, as I said, my business partner Joe Gregory. But I mean, we also have a fantastic top team, our business manager, and different, who now do a lot of the day-to-day work. But there still seems to be, I don't know. I started working with a new PA the other day, and she said, "I've met some busy people, but you've just got 80 emails in this morning." And that's really quite a lot. And I was sort of, oh, is it? I suppose it is quite a lot, but yes. So I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff to do. And then I do a lot of mentoring, which I really like. So we Rethink Press, we run a program called Book Builder. Where it's a group get your book written in 90 days program, where we work online to get people's books planned with close coaching work and our book plan software, and then I take them through a writing process, which is something I sort of my kind of standard process, which is it's W for write your first draft. That's right. Then review and improve, R&E, review and improve, which is your first edit, and then T is test. So a really important step in writing a book that people often miss out, which is testing your book with beta readers and getting that really useful feedback that you definitely want before you go to print rather than after. If there are things you could do to improve the book, it's a good time to do it before you actually publish.
The scariest bit for me was actually sending to beta readers. You're right, it made it a better book.
But also, I think people always find, I mean, I think you found too, that actually you're a bit scared of sending it out to people for the first time, but actually you get a lot of confidence from the very positive feedback that you get. So as well as some gold nuggets about, how you can make it even better, which is the ideal sort of combination. And then you do a final edit and then repeat anything that needs doing. And I know from having mentored, as you say, literally hundreds of entrepreneurs through this process, that if you go through this process step by step, you will come out of it with a really good, strong manuscript that's valuable to your readers and also works for you as a business owner, as an expert entrepreneur, and grows your business, helps to transform your business.
I can absolutely vouch for that. So my book's coming up to a year old it comes out, it will have been a year old this year, and in March 2020 it won that award, and even though we'd gone through lockdown, the business has still had its best year yet, and I put a lot of that down to the book, the power of the book, because that was the thing that was new, that was introduced into this year, and it was a tough year. So definitely the power of the book, I think, is I'm a big fan.
That's great.
So you're so busy in your job. How on earth do you balance running your business with your how do you get that work-life balance? You've written a book about it. Well, any tips for us?
I think the tips are that you have to do it your way, that you don't kind of I mean, I think people are very good at giving advice about, you have to have some me time, you have to do this, you should do this, you shouldn't do too much of this. But actually, I think what works for you is getting your own rhythm, finding out, how you process information, how you work best, whether it's in, big chunks or long or short, sort of short periods with lots of breaks, and then just, put what you need to do as the pillars around your day and fit your work around it. I think that's the only way to do it. And if you are, I mean, it's different when you're working for yourself, but when you get to the stage where you're getting too much work as an entrepreneur, say, then outsource the stuff that you can, you don't need to do yourself anymore, and get someone else to help with it. And if you are, in a corporate position or in someone else's business, then, let them know when you've got too much on, when you can't cope, when it's getting, because it just becomes counterproductive. And you can do, when you're getting to a stage where you're not doing your best work because you've got too much. So it's either you have to sort that yourself if it's your business, or you have to push back if it's someone else's.
I think it's quite a challenge though as women. We're not we don't like saying no to people as well. And I think
absolutely, yes, no, it's really hard.
Yes. The boundaries in place as well is another thing. I've realized when I started my business, I'd been a stay-at-home mum for 3 years, having had postnatal depression, and then so I was doing all the housework, and I'd willingly taken that on while Andy was the breadwinner. And then when I started my own business, I was still doing all that stuff.
I know, yeah.
It was just that you've got to put that back. If you're going to get that work-life balance, you need to kind of be able to say no and delegate. Delegating, whether it's your partner or other people in the business, and that's a real game changer.
Yes, no, absolutely. Delegating, I mean, sharing, the work at home is absolutely key, because it's so easy for women and for men too to just assume that the drudge work is women's work, and it's somehow
quite often.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think, certainly at my age, that's kind of, I don't think anybody ever said that to me. It's just, the role model kind of thing. It's just kind of implicit in, and you really have to make an effort to get over that, really, and make sure that, partners, whoever it is at home, do their share as well.
Yeah. Have you got any amazing time-saving hacks apart from delegating to your partner or your team? Are there any apps or hacks that you kind of?
Well, I actually think my own brain is my best hack, and I have this. I have a kind of series of women archetypes that I sort of talk about when I'm mentoring. But the two of my really favourite two are Miss Moneypenny and the librarian. And for me, my brain is divided. I mean, it's nothing original. It's your subconscious and your conscious. So, but for me, I visualize having a kind of secretary, PA kind of person in the front of my brain, sitting at a desk and, kind of dealing with the customer facing work. And then in the back, I have a librarian, I call her, who is operating in a kind of TARDIS-like world of filing cabinets and kind of computer servers and all sorts of things going on that I can't actually fathom. I don't know how it works, so I don't try. But I delegate to her problem solving. And
Wow.
if I can't solve a problem, I will speak to my librarian and say, look, I need an answer for this one, or I need you to find the connection, or whatever it is. And honestly, it really works. I mean, not every time, perfectly timed, but your subconscious is an incredible tool that I think, we don't use enough. We're not sort of, at least not in a conscious way. Because, I mean, when sometimes you dream something, sometimes you just wake up and ping, there's some brilliant, I don't know, whatever it is, answer to something. And that's what's going on. Obviously, we all know that, but you really can train yourself to work like that. And that's a huge time saver, because there's no point sitting in front of a screen and trying to, I don't know, write something if it just won't come. But if you say, okay, I'm not going to do that now, you go and work on that and tell me tomorrow morning. And then, you can sit down the next morning and ping, there it is in your in tray, as it were, in Miss Moneypen's in tray.
Almost a conscious decision that you do. I mean, sometimes I'll just leave things and I'll kind of think, well, I'll come back to that later when I feel inspired, or something will kind of, an inspiration will hit me. It's always in the shower for me for some reason. I get my best ideas in the shower. I don't know what it is. But yeah, it's when you're not thinking about it, when you're not trying to solve it.
Exactly, because if you're trying to consciously work on something, your subconscious, which is much more powerful, cannot get at it. So you have to let it go. And the only way to let go sometimes is to do something else that takes up your conscious thoughts. As I say, even if it's something, kind of really mundane and boring, that's the best way to send the complicated stuff back into the librarian's domain.
Great tip. I need to channel my inner librarian a little bit more. Lucy, every time I see you, you're really upbeat and you seem to be, smashing it, as some entrepreneurs that we know would say. But how do you motivate yourself on those down days? I don't know about you, but I've been finding the dark winter months, and obviously this will be coming out in March, but sometimes it's quite hard to motivate oneself. So just looking for any tips on that.
That's a difficult one, because I'm actually I'm fairly positive most of the time, and if I do get down, it's for sort of real kind of genuine reasons, not just because I'm going through a low phase. But I think it's sort of, well, I suppose it's kind of like writing, really. It's much better, it's much easier to get inspired when you're actually writing than if you think, oh, I'll wait for inspiration. Because it just doesn't come that way. So I would say just get on and do stuff, force yourself, get into habits. I think that's, I think your shower thing is a really good example of a habit you may not have consciously set yourself, but your brain has a kind of like, oh, shower time, I'll tell her, this is the time where I come up with good ideas. And
it's that relaxation thing though, isn't it?
Yes, I'm sure that's right.
And things can come. Yeah. Okay. How do you? When I look at you, Lucy, and you're amazingly successful. You obviously work very hard for that success. How do you define success? What success are you most proud of as well?
Gosh, that's such a difficult one. I think I'm really most proud of the work I do with women, really. That's kind of where I suppose where my heart is at the moment, and I feel kind of, I suppose I'm kind of empowered by the anger I feel about how women are treated, and even subconsciously, sort of what happens to us, and so I suppose I kind of allow a low level of kind of anger to kind of to power me and motivate me. So I am proud of I'm incredibly proud of the women's books that we've published. Which I think some of them are just really special, including yours, of course. And I don't know, what did you ask me, Sapna? I've forgotten what I'm most proud of. I think, I think
success, but
oh yes, what do I mean? I don't know. It's really hard to. I think it's always pretty hard to see your own success. You never quite feel it's like being part of a club that will have you. It's. You never quite feel I don't, maybe some people do. Maybe it's a woman thing, actually. You never kind of quite feel you've arrived, there's always more to achieve. And or the kind of feeling that, well, am I successful? I mean, when you say that, I genuinely think, oh, really? Is that how you see me? I'm not sure I see myself that way.
It's interesting, because it's a bit, I see success as more like happiness. It's like, it's a destination. Not necessarily, it's not just a destination, it's a journey. So I think you can have success at various different times of your life, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to have more successes or different successes. It's not like, right, that's success done, I can just put my feet up. So yeah, it's just quite interesting how people see it. You're seeing it more as a destination. I think you're kind of like, well, have I got there
Yeah,
yet?
I suppose when you kind of put it in those terms, yes. But I suppose, perhaps it's I suppose I feel that, my children and my grandchildren are probably my biggest success, although I can't really claim any kind of I mean, they are who they are, but I am incredibly proud of them. So I suppose that's it's that balance. Really.
How do you celebrate though if you do sort of hit a milestone, or have you got any little rituals or any
To be
kind of?
honest, I really don't. I don't sort of celebrate like that, apart from a private little yay. That's probably as big as it gets for me. Or yeah, no, I mean, just sharing with people who I feel, and I suppose that's another kind of female thing that I don't like to, if sometimes it doesn't feel right to sort of boast about, if you've achieved something. I don't always feel comfortable going, "Oh, look at me, I've done so well." But
Do bubbles at home, or yeah, a little.
yeah, yeah, just kind of, relaxing probably more than actually
Mhm.
consciously
You're
celebrating.
immensely inspirational to others and to me. Who inspires you? Who inspires you in business?
Oh gosh, that is a question. I mean, well, to be honest, all the women I work with are genuinely, I mean, they're all experts and brilliant in their own right. So many, so many of the people that I have the luck to mentor through writing their book are incredibly inspiring and give me a huge amount of value back, whether they know it or not. I hope they do actually. So them. I mean, I'm lucky that I work with great people. So my business partners are like Joe Gregory, Daniel Priestley, who are very inspiring in their own right. They're great, and I do think that a lot of success and sort of being in the right place at the right time and achieving things is to do with the people who are around you, and who it's very hard to do something completely on your own and
Yes.
take credit for it and things. So it's I am inspired by the people I work with, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely, my book would never have even existed if it wasn't for you and Joe and Daniel. Sort of creating the Dent course.
Yeah.
So, and look, just finishing off on quite a deep question. What's the best advice you would give your 25-year-old self?
My 25-year-old self, I would, well, I don't know about my 25-year-old self, but I think I would say to anybody, don't make goals that are too hard and fast, because life sometimes has much more exciting things than you can actually plan for or come up with. And sometimes the things that you really aspire to or kind of really want to achieve aren't as satisfying as things that just come your way. I mean, I've had a very I've moved in my, if you can call it a career, in my life, from sort of things that have just happened really a lot of the time, and I've gone, yes, I'll do that, even if I think I have no idea how to do that, but I will do it and I will learn. And I think that's the other tip: take things on, be confident that you can actually get things, you can learn things, you can do things. If it appeals to you, go with it.
Absolutely, I love that. I mean, I've always sort of followed. I've always said I've followed the joy, and take the opportunities, because you never know who you're going to meet, and what you're going to learn along the way. Right. So just to finish off, I've got a few fun questions. It's a quick fire round, so I just want to ask, what's your favourite colour?
Ooh. It's either purple or yellow. Can I have
two? You have two. Yeah, go on, because it's you. Item of clothing. Favourite item of clothing?
Oh, probably my most comfortable jeans.
I didn't see you as a jeans person. I don't think I've ever seen you in jeans.
Well, that's because nobody ever sees me below the waist now at the moment. It's very handy.
Probably pajama bottoms for all we know. What would be your top destination after lockdown?
My top destination will be, I I don't know. I'd like to spend more time in Canada. I think I went there once for a KPI publish day, and I'd like to go back.
Cool.
I literally spent a night there, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that
I'd
would
love to go to Canada, actually. I've never been. What was the last book you read? This one,
Oh,
you're
the last book I read. Gosh, at the moment I am reading. I just devour audiobooks, and the last book I read or am reading is a Val McDermid book called Still Life. I love Val. I love thrillers, so
oh, yeah.
probably
I've
tons of
still got
those.
I've still got Shobna Gulati's book, to which I need
Oh
to
yes,
yeah,
yes.
read as
I'm
well.
going to talk to her soon.
Forward
Yeah,
to that one, yeah, on your recommendation.
that's very
What's
good.
your spirit animal?
My favorite animal. Oh,
Your spirit
probably.
animal.
Sorry.
Your spirit animal.
My spirit animal. I think my spirit animal is probably a horse.
Cool. Flavor of ice cream? Favorite?
Vanilla. I know that's a bad thing to say, but I love vanilla.
Ooh, I love vanilla. And AM or PM?
Oh, AM. Yeah, I'm an early riser.
Oh, I'm a really night owl so far. I'm a complete night owl. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this interview today, Lucy. I've known you a while, but I think I've learned lots today as well. So I had lots of fun. It's always fun to chat to you. Thank you very much. If you've got anything that you'd like to tell our viewers and listeners about, then feel free to tell them about Book Builder again or anything else.
Oh, well, thank you, Sapna. Well, yes, if you want to get your book written and published in 90 days, well, written in 90 days, no, definitely not published. Look for come to Rethink Press and look for our Book Builder program. The next one starts in April. And if you're a woman who has written or would like to write their business book, come and look for my Facebook group, which is called ABOO Circles on Facebook, obviously. And yeah, be very happy to see you in either place and chat to you.
Yes, I'll see you in there if you join ABOO as well, because I'm in there as well as one of the alumni.
Indeed.
So thank you very much for your time today, Lucy. See you soon again. Take care.
Thanks, Sapna.
Bye.